Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So I've been getting a lot of questions about our market, predictions, forecasting, what can we expect in 2025. And so in this video, I wanted to talk about the truth about moving to Tampa, Florida and what you need to know, but also stay tuned to the end because I'm going to be talking about some emerging neighborhoods that I want to put on your radar. So let's get after it right now. Like I mentioned, there's been a lot of questions about what's happening, and I just kind of wanted to address all of these questions here. It's a rainy day. I thought let's do a video, and we've had a bunch of things happen, right? 2024 was a mess, and a couple of years leading into that was quite a mess. Wouldn't you agree? And so the Tampa market has gone through so many shifts. It's a good time for us to have this discussion, I think. And so as we're moving into 2025, we have a new president, and we've also had two major hurricanes, and so that significantly shifts the landscape, right? Also, as you know, I'm a boots on the ground in the field real estate agent here in the Tampa St. Pete market, and I'm also a resident and I'm a homeowner. So I can speak to you not only from my experience as a real estate agent, but as a homeowner, and I understand the good and the bad, right? So let's get into it, but where should we start first? I think we should start with, is it a buyer's market or a seller's market? Because that is probably the number one question I get asked the most. I think people are really looking for the magic answer. And based on the data and some of the information I'm going to share with you, just because you're seeing prices drop doesn't mean the market is dropping. And just because you're seeing prices go up in certain areas doesn't mean that it's becoming a seller's market. So you have to be careful what information you are ingesting. And again, it's always best to talk to a real estate agent like myself who is, again, we're in the market all day long. We know what's going on and the deals that we're making and how we were able to make those deals. So I don't want to get ahead of myself, but I want to talk to you about that as well, because I want to educate you as best as possible so that you know how to get the best deal for yourself and your family, okay? Okay, so let's go back. So as we know, Tampa really blew up during the pandemic, and we started to see, you know, Tampa emerging on all of the news feeds about Tampa's the emerging market and it's the top 10 hot market, right? We were all over the place. Thank you, Tom Brady. Thank you, COVID. And we've started to see a slowing down of that hot market prediction, right? So now we were in the top 10 nationally. Now we're down to 22. So yes, our market is softening a bit. We are not the bright, shiny object on the shelf anymore. But our market still remains competitive, and it's indicating a more balanced environment. And I know a lot of you are gonna go, that's not what I wanna hear, but I promise you, we in Florida would really love to have a little bit more of a balanced market. COVID really changed our landscape. Like I mentioned, you could get a house. When I was looking 7, 8 years ago, when I was looking for my condo, the average house price I think was more like $200, $250K. And now our average home price, which I'm gonna talk about in a minute, is more like $400. Well, my condo that I bought 7 years ago has more than doubled in price. So it's been good and bad, right? Because that's my equity. I'm happy about that. But have our prices been inflated? Yes. Most of us that have lived here on a regular basis, we do not want to see Florida become like in LA or in Austin, Texas, or even in Atlanta. We don't want all of that inflation coming here, raising our housing prices and making it unaffordable for even a 20-year-old just getting started in the business world to be able to afford a home. We don't want that. So we do want to see some stabilization. We do want to see prices come down a little bit. We want to make sure that it's fair for everybody. At least that's what I'm hoping. And we got to talk about interest rates, right? Everybody keeps saying, well, but I could get 2% or I could get 4%. Those days are gone, my friend. I was one of those people. I got 4.25 on my condo here that I'm sitting in. And I'm pretty happy with that. I'm not gonna refinance. Why? 6 or 7? Not gonna do it. Most people aren't. So again, buyer's seller's market, what is it Where is it trending? A lot of people that want to stay in Florida, don't have a need to move and have those low interest rates, they're not going to go anywhere. But people that have life events happening, or they're sick and tired of Florida, or the hurricanes, really, they're like, I don't want to deal with that anymore. They're getting out of town. So we're going to start to see probably over the first quarter how things are going to pan out. But interest rates, like let me go back to, I get off on a tangent. So interest rates, we are seeing them creep up a little bit. They're talking about lowering the interest rates. We will see. This current administration, I think that's one of their goals. Again, we'll see. We don't have any idea until this happens. So do not hold out for interest rates to get historically low. If they get a little bit lower in the 7s, consider that a bonus, okay? So how my clients and I work together is we really take a look at their budget, how much they want to spend monthly. We have to factor in property insurance, homeowners insurance, potentially flood insurance, and we have to boil all that down, right? And then when we're looking for homes, and you need to understand this as people are gonna be in your ear, or you're gonna listen to certain people tell you it's the seller's market, it's buyer's market. No, we're stabilizing. Because what's happening now is we have to take a look at the property from the neighborhood's perspective, right? So if there's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home with 1,500, maybe you'll get 2,000 square feet if you're lucky, in that 450 range, and you're like, oh, but I think it's worth 400. That's great, but we have to do the data. We have to do a data dump. We have to do our due diligence. We have to put our appraiser hat on, even though we're not really appraisers. We have to pretend we're appraisers. What has sold in the neighborhood in the last 90 days? Sometimes we can't even get that information. We have to go out 6 months, but an appraiser is gonna look at the last 3 months, so keep that in mind. And that's how we determine our price. So for my clients, it's really about budget, cash to close. Do they love the neighborhood? Is the neighborhood worth it to them? Do they think they will have good resale value if something comes up and they do have to sell? So there's many factors involved. Again, I'm gonna probably say this throughout the video, do not wait. If your dream is to come to Florida and you've got the money, let's roll. Let's go look at houses. If you've been playing in the housing market long enough, you know it's always gonna do this. It's unpredictable. It's just about a matter of when you're ready, when your wallet's ready, and then let's make it happen, okay? And don't forget, you guys, I know there's a lot of haters out there with Florida, and for good reason, trust me, I understand. But Florida is still a lot of people's dream place to live. And so there is never really gonna be a perfect city, and there isn't a perfect state. It just is a matter of what you're willing to deal with. And if that means you're willing to deal with hurricanes, bugs, alligators, and sometimes some crazy government stuff, you're gonna be just fine here. I promise, you'll have a lot of fun. We make sure we have a lot of fun in the sun, primarily. So, piggybacking on what I just said, should you wait till prices drop? Well, if we're moving more into a stabilized market, which is what they're predicting, I wouldn't really wait, because they're actually talking about increases coming, about a 0.7%, really. They predict that's gonna happen by about September 2025, okay? Now again, interest rates go up, prices go down. Interest rates go down, prices go up, okay? So you gotta find that sweet spot for yourself. And look, there's conflicting information out there, but I will tell you, our prices did drop a bit in the last quarter of 2024, and houses stayed on the market longer. We're gonna talk about that in a minute. And so I believe that's really part of our stabilization process right now, but we're gonna have to just ride out the first quarter to really see what's gonna happen. But I'll go back to what I keep saying. Your budget is ready, your heart is ready, you wanna move, let's make it happen, okay? And on that note, what happens with me in my business, I can't talk about any other agent, but what really happens for us when we work together is I have the ability to make really great relationships with a lot of listing agents in town. And I've been able to really make sure that the sellers and the buyers, especially the buyers is my biggest concern, right? But that everybody gets a fair deal. And so a lot of times working in conjunction with the listing agent to make that deal happen for everybody's benefit, it sweetens the deal, right? Because we've all got to work together for 30 days to make a deal happen. So we don't come at it aggressively. We're really about, hey, your house is lovely, we love it, we think it's worth this. What do you say, you know? So anyway, we have a more strategic plan than that. It's not that easy. But we work it out. We try to figure out a way that's gonna make it seem like a good deal for the sellers, because ultimately it is. They're gonna walk away with cash in their hand, but also so it doesn't hurt the buyers. And so they feel like they got a really good deal, and on closing day, everybody's happy. And so that's really my goal. And so when we're talking about houses and prices and that sort of thing, it really comes down to the individual seller, what they need, why they need it, what their time frame is like, and how much do they still owe on that house. So there's a lot of factors involved. Don't listen to people that make these blanket statements, because it's really property by property, and each seller has different needs. And then you as the buyer can come in and make a determination off of that, and we'll work together and strategize so that you get a great deal and that the sellers are happy and we can all be happy at the closing table. Okay? All right, so let's move on to housing inventory and market stability. For some reason, I can't get that word out because I'm not used to saying it. Stable market, what? Obviously, as I've spoken of before, COVID really shook us up, right? It was like taking a snow globe and going, here you go. And we've all had to kind of recoup from that. And listen, I work with people that got sold a house that was overpriced, and it's a sad day. So it happens, you know. That's why I'm going to keep saying it, and I hope that it continues. I do hope that we become a more stable market. I do hope that there's areas that continue to stay affordable for people. And let's get into it. So the median house price right now, and median is different than average. Remember, median is the middle, average is the sum. So the median home price in Tampa has been stable for, fluctuates a little bit, but usually it's sticking around $412K, and that's been that way for about 2 years now. That's why we can see some stabilization happening. Now, the average home price, so if you're doing some research, you're like, yeah, but Emily, they're saying the average home price over here is $370,000. That's an average. It's averaging all the dumps, and it's averaging in the multi-million-dollar homes. So that number is not really accurate. We're looking at the middle, we're looking at the median, right? That's how you can predict whether you can afford our market or not. And sure, there are some new construction communities where you can get a home, a brand new home under $400K. They are not going to be in Tampa proper. So everything that I'm speaking to you about is in our Tampa metro area. I will let you know some of the outlying areas where I think you can either get a deal or there's new construction. Like I'd mentioned before, you could go southeast, and there is definitely new construction down there. Sometimes you can get 350. They're starting to creep up into the 4s. I'm gonna be doing a new construction video here really soon, so I'll be able to dive a little deeper into those numbers to give you a little bit more of an accurate take, because again, whether you're in southeast Tampa new construction or northeast Tampa new construction, those prices are gonna be very different based on the communities, right? But if you're looking in Tampa Metro, Tampa proper, and St. Petersburg, you're still gonna be hard pressed to find anything that doesn't need renovations in that 400K to 450 range. But let's see how it goes. I could stand corrected. So again, like I said, new construction, being able to find something under 400K, maybe possible. Southeast Tampa, northeast Tampa, but in Tampa proper and in St. Pete, I don't want to make promises. Maybe you can find something, but honestly, you're going to be hard pressed to find that. It's just the reality. Okay, so there's good news on the horizon. Increase of inventory. We saw a huge dip in inventory during the pandemic. I mean, hello, duh, it makes sense, right? But we've been slowly creeping up with our inventory levels. It took a while to kind of get things moving in the right direction, but now we're starting to see the inventory increase, and that is a good sign. Because like I said, again, when we're talking about rates, right? Now we're talking about inventory. When there's low inventory, it's a seller's market. When there's high inventory, it's a buyer's market. So as we're doing this incline, that's why things are stabilizing, right? And as of December of 2024, our inventory numbers were right at about 3.6 months worth of inventory. So that's trending in the right direction. We want more around 4, 5, 6 would be great. But if for a long time, we were at 30 days of inventory. So we want more inventory to continue to help us stabilize that market. All right, so let's shift to days on market, because we touched upon that a little earlier. Let's talk about it in real life numbers, okay? So homes are staying on the market a little bit longer, right? And that is because, again, buyers have decided a lot of our houses are overpriced. I don't necessarily disagree with that. So the median days on market as of October 2024 was hovering right around 52 days. And then I've even seen some data that at the highest, it was more like 68 days on market. I think that was closer to December of 2024. So that's a significant increase. That's about 23 days in the same period from the previous year. So that reflects the cooling of the market. There's more options for buyers. Buyers are getting more savvy. They're doing a little bit more research on pricing. It's a good thing, right? We want educated buyers out there. But on the flip side, from a seller's point of view, this is a nightmare. I ran into this with a listing client and I felt so bad. They had this house in this amazing neighborhood, but they were in an area where the houses around them were more updated than theirs. By the way, if I was in the market for a house, I would have bought this house in a heartbeat. It was in a great location, like I said, great neighborhood. It had high elevation, but still near the water. And anyway, it needed an updated kitchen and it needed a larger master. But it really was a really bad time in the market then. People were really digging it, buyers were really digging in their heels, and they really wanted a turnkey house for the amount of money that they were putting into it. So that, obviously, from a seller's perspective, if a seller has to relocate for a job or have a life event, they have to sell that house quick. We're really having a hard time in the quick sell mindset. That's not where we're at right now. We're starting to see, again, houses are still staying on the market a little longer. I don't know if that's going to trend down in the next coming months. Again, we're going to have to kind of see what happens in the next quarter leading into Q2 if things continue to stay on the market longer. I don't know. We'll have to just wait it out. But it's important that if you're looking to sell your home, and I have to educate my sellers on this too, is like, listen, we're going to market your house as best as possible, but the market will show us what's going on. And market will also show us how we're pricing the house and if we're pricing it correctly. The buyers really help us understand that really well. Okay, let's talk about the dirty little word that nobody likes to talk about. Insurance. Homeowners insurance and flood insurance. All right, let's get into it. You must know by now, we've had 2 major hurricanes within weeks of each other, okay? We didn't have any time to recuperate from the first one, and then we had a second one, and it was very devastating. And so naturally, just like the LA fires and also the devastation in North Carolina, this affects insurance premiums. And this is something that you really have to understand, especially if you're getting a loan. You have to have homeowners insurance, so it's not something you can get around unless you're paying cash. But still, in Florida, I would never not insure a home. Please do not do that. Over the span of 5 years leading up to now, there has been an increase of 42.1% in homeowners insurance rates across Florida, a surge attributed primarily to frequent natural disasters that have occurred recently, combined with mounting reinsurance expenses and challenges presented by intricate legal framework shaping the industry. So again, insurance companies leaving the area, natural disasters, all sorts of things going on. And let's be honest, there are a lot of people that took advantage of the insurance, with little things here and there. They don't repair things and they take the money. It is what it is. So what does this mean in real numbers? Well, it means increase in your premiums. The cumulative damage from Hurricane Helene and Milton, estimated at over $80 billion, has intensified the strain on Florida's insurance market. This has led to rising premiums, with Florida's average annual home insurance cost standing at approximately $4,329, significantly higher than the national average. So what does this mean when you are looking for a home? So let's break it down a little bit. The first thing, like I mentioned earlier, is you really need to talk to a lender and let's find out, are you gonna have PMI? What are your taxes gonna be? A lot of times we can do this property by property. So once you start your pre-approval process with a lender, I have a preferred one I love. I can give you his information. I have several that I work with, but he's my go-to guy because he will work on the weekends. If I have a property that we need to run some numbers with, he'll do that for me. So we run the numbers, right? See if we can afford it from that perspective. And then we engage an insurance agent. Again, I've got Sean, who I love, who's local. And we will say, hey, can you plug in this property? What could potentially be not only the homeowner's insurance, but is there flood insurance? Are we in a flood zone AE? What is the flood insurance that's attached to that? That way we can, boil down to a number and to see if this property is actually going to be within your budget. And also, you have to plan for premiums going up. What if we have another natural disaster, right? So you need to have a little buffer in there in your budget when it comes to these rates going up that we can't really control. This is another good thing you need to know. There is a new flood disclosure law that occurred in October of 2024. Effective October 1st of 2024, Florida implemented a new flood disclosure law, which mandates that sellers of residential real estate provide specific flood-related information to prospective buyers. This disclosure must be presented at or before the execution of the sales contract. This includes any insurance claims or federal assistance like FEMA. So now when we are looking at properties, we always look at the property disclosures, right? Because you want to know, does it have a sinkhole? Does it need a new roof? What are the things that we know about this house? But now we have this flood disclosure, and that's going to tell us whether they had flood damage, whether they had to get any assistance from FEMA, or did they have an insurance claim. All of that now has to be presented with legal information about the property. I would not move forward with a property until you have all of those facts, okay? And so let's jump into flood insurance, because listen, there's going to be those of you out there that still want to be closer to the beach, and I don't blame you. They're repairing our beaches. Things are getting back to a little bit of normalcy, that people are repairing their places. So honestly, I think things are going to, in the next couple of years, things along the beach and even a little bit more inland from the beach are going to be in pretty good shape to handle some flooding. Let's hope. But if you're somebody that's thinking about flood insurance, what does that look like? FEMA has their own way of assessing risk with a property. And so not only do you have flood zones, but they also take into account that property, whatever elevation that property is in, and so forth and so on. And that kind of determines property by property your rate. So it's not like this flood zone is going to be at this rate. It's really per house. And so that's why I say talk to an insurance agent. And people ask me all the time, well, how much is flood insurance? Well, it can range. Now I'll give you a range. It will range between $1,200 and $2,000, okay? It can go up from there though. That is not a cap. It can go depending on the areas, because on average, if you're looking at Bradenton Beach, which is south of St. Pete and just north of Sarasota, you're looking at about $1,500, right? But if you're going to Bel Air Beach, which is south of Clearwater in a very affluent area, you're looking at $2,000 to $3,000, okay? So again, I want to drill it into you. Talk to an insurance agent and get an idea of how much you potentially would spend if there's a specific area you're interested in, and then we drill it down to per property, okay? And listen, when you're dealing with a lender and or insurance agents, they're always going to pad it a little bit just in case. They would rather you feel like you're getting a break than, oh my God, but you quoted $1,500 and it's really $2,000. You know what I'm saying? So just understand there's going to be some fluctuation in their averages, but you do want to make sure that you're getting a pretty good solid idea of your mortgage, your PMI, if you have to have PMI, your taxes, your homeowner's insurance, and now your flood, okay? So let's talk about some emerging areas. And listen, I know there's some areas that you're gonna go, I already know about those areas, Emily. I'm just letting you know that we're starting to see some prices dip and stay consistent. And I think that might be something you could be interested in. And I'm gonna do some videos on these areas as well. And I would love to hear in the comments if there's another area you want me to feature and talk to you a little bit more about price point and show you some houses and see what you can get for your money. But in the meantime, this is my list. New Tampa and Tampa Palms. Now, I haven't really talked about this on the channel, so I'm definitely going to do a video on it. It's really north, I say Carrollwood, Lake Mag, because, you know, from 75, if you go up a little bit, you're basically at Temple Terrace, and then a little bit above that is New Tampa, and then you're into Wesley Chapel, right? So it's really in between Temple Terrace and Wesley Chapel. Now, it is good access to the interstate, of course. You're still north of the metro area, but you're in a very suburban area. You're going to be, again, near some big box stores, some shopping, very family friendly, okay? So we're going to do a video on that so I can show you a little bit more about that area. But you're going to see prices in the more of the 400, 500 range in that area. Seminole Heights. I did a video on Seminole Heights. We're going to pop it over here for you. And I really love Seminole Heights. It's very central. It's close to downtown. It's close to Carrollwood, so a more suburban area where you're going to have some normal shopping. You can get to the interstate really easily. You can get to the airport really easily. And you've got all of that fun along the river. You've got Eulalie, which is one of the great restaurants, Armature Works, all the fun stuff. And you can have easy access down to the convention center, to the Amalie Arena, to Hyde Park, to all of that stuff, right? So Seminole Heights, again, is very kind of eclectic, and it's got a lot of historic charm. Now, the houses can tend to be a little bit smaller unless there's a new construction home, which we're starting to see them really doing some new construction homes in that area as well. But you could still potentially find a house between 400 and 500 in that area. You may have to sacrifice a bedroom or a garage, but you can still find a nice house over there. Okay? Carrollwood and Northdale, and I've done videos on them as well. I grew up in Carrollwood. Again, it's very suburban, and it's, again, centrally located. I love it for that as well because, again, Seminole Heights is just south of that. It's just suburbia. It's just a little bit larger of a suburban area, and so it's got a little bit of mix. You've got the country club and the golf course. You've got great shopping. You've got some really good restaurants. It's just a really great family feel. Of course, I'm partial to it because I grew up over there and I still love it. Northdale is, again, just north of Carrollwood, and it's basically got the same vibe. It just has a little less, in my opinion, restaurants. You have to kind of go into Carrollwood for that, but you're going to have a lot more of those big box stores up there. And again, you're going to be getting into more of the nature preserves and the trails and that sort of thing. Last but not least, I know you've all probably heard about West Chase. It was a very, very hot neighborhood during the pandemic, but there was like no houses available, and the ones that were available were going for a mint. So we're starting to see prices drop a little bit in the West Chase area. It's right over here in my neighborhood, and I kind of keep an eye on it. But I think we're going to start seeing some inventory pop up in the West Chase area. But again, love West Chase because you're sitting next to Citrus Park, which has great shopping, and you've got Oldsmar that's got some great restaurants. And again, you're like 20 minutes from the airport. It's in a really great location and great schools, by the way. A lot of this area, I'm not quite sure about Seminole Heights and schools, but the rest of the areas I spoke about have pretty good schools as well. If you have any information on the schools, you know, I say I don't have kids, so you guys have to help me out if you know if the schools are good or not. Again, we're seeing our schools getting better and better. Thank you, everybody that's moved here. That's really helped us kind of put our hand to the fire in the school districts to kind of, you know, change things up a little bit. So I think we're going to start seeing an improvement in our schools. But anyway, I don't want to get off on a tangent with that. I really appreciate you guys, you know, coming and checking out this content as always, and I hope this video was informative to you. And if you're still in love with Florida and you really want your heart and your soul are telling you I want to move to the Tampa St. Pete area, I would really love to help you on that journey and help you navigate the real estate market here. That is really my goal, is to be of service to the people that really want to be here, and I'll hold your hand through it, I promise. And as always, comment below if you have something to add to this. Again, let's share the info and share the wealth. And until next time, everybody, I'll see you around. Have a good one.